it was a huge game in Stark Vegas Saturday night. It had been hyped up all week, from Kenny Dillingham's comments to seeing them use 20 cowbells at practice to try and simulate the crowd noise, to Arizona State fans intentionally staying at the Red Roof Inn to try and say Starkville had no good hotels and that was why they weren't staying there, and so forth. And the game kicks off, and Mississippi State starts running away with it. They're up 17-0 late in the second half. Arizona State gets a late field goal, and then second half starts. Arizona State starts pounding the rock, and all of a sudden Mississippi State's down 3 late before a late Blake Shapen touchdown pass to Brennan Thompson, followed by a Sam Levitt pick to seal the game, and State walks out with a 27-24 victory.
24-20.
24-20 victory. There you go. I butchered that one. Huge win last night for Mississippi State. One of the biggest wins for them in years. What are y'all's thoughts? Let it all out. This is y'all's platform.
I personally think it's best to just kind of give we can go about this 2 ways, Sanders. We can talk about just like the numbers of the game, whatever, first, or we can start by like each giving our accounts of the night, you know, how it felt, the emotions that were felt through the building. Do you want to start, or do you wanna...
I can start. Okay. The game, the emotions and the feelings leading up to the game, it's the most excited I've been probably since, I'm going to be honest, I was excited with Arnett as our head coach. I thought that what Lebby had built offensively was something special, and what we were being told about what we were returning, and I thought Arnett was going to field another fantastic defense. I was excited for that season. This is the most excited I have been since then, and I was way more excited. I have felt like we were going to win for like 2 weeks, and it's been terrifying me because I was like, why do I feel so confident we're going to win? We get there. That's the first time I've ever been in the building for pregame. I was in band for 4 years, and so we didn't get there until like 45 minutes or an hour before kickoff, and then we went in the stands. And then last year I worked outside with athletics, so I had never been in there for the players warming up, for the students getting hyped. Like, it was just a very different experience, game day experience. That was my first time being inside. Excitement was unreal. I mean, you could have cut it with a knife. It was so thick. It was just everywhere. Game starts. I know we're not talking about the game, but like, we hit our immediate key point. Punch fast, punch first. We went up 17-0, and I started looking at some of my friends who I was working with. I was like, what's happening? Are we like, is this real? Like, is there a chance we do this? Second half comes around, like, everything was electric. We had, halftime show didn't go quite as planned, no drone show, but the light show was honestly a blessing, because like, we got to really show off the lights for like 8 minutes straight of just like play song after song with light show and just strobe lights and red and white and maroon, and it was just like people were getting into it, and I got to like record so much of it. But yeah, the last 2 minutes, I mean, Arizona State comes back, they take the lead, and I just started getting nervous. But after that Brennan Thompson touchdown, I like went into like my adrenaline kicked in. I did my job. I got a fantastic shot of him celebrating. I hope that like my bosses will like post it so I can like, retweet it and be like, I took this, because it looks so good. And then we picked it off, and if I wasn't working, I think I would have fallen to my knees and started crying. Like, I had like actual tears in my eyes. I was so excited, and I just like, my jaw was I was like, I have a job to do. I'm about to have to run out there and record everyone, but we just won. We're going to win. Like, we are about to take them. Like, there is no way we can blow this. Barring, who was the team that ran the ball when all they did was take it? Was
Miami.
Miami.
Could have pulled a Mario Cristobal.
We could have sold it, but I didn't think we were. I was like, we should win this game. We like are as close as you can be without the score reading final, and that was just crazy. I wanted to cry, and then I ran out there, and I was recording all of the hugs and Lebby going out there to hug Shapen and everything. And then I turn around, and I was expecting the students to still be in the stands, because we were trying to do the 3-minute countdown to avoid the fine, and there's students like right there. And I was just like, oh, okay, so they're here now, cool. Started recording everything and getting stuff for the video board and stuff like that. And then after the game, like, I think I went to our tailgate, and like my parents kept trying to talk to me, and I was just like, yeah, no, yeah, no. I was just like answering questions. I was
like, still in shock.
Yeah, I literally felt like I was in shock. Did not want to talk. I think I watched the play, the Brennan Thompson touchdown, a dozen times, walked back to my car and watched the entire game highlights, got back that night, watched the play a couple more times, woke up this morning, watched the play, maybe watched the highlights again. I mean, I've seen that touchdown 20 or 30 times. From every angle, with every song, it's just it was insane. And now I'm kind of like I'm like not trying to lose track of the fact that we have 2 more games, but I'm already thinking Tennessee comes to town in like 3 weeks. Like, where are we going to be mentally and physically? Like, are we going to be healthy for that game? Can we generate the same? Because I'll be honest, like, I think we kind of have had the advantage of this game being so early is that this is all we've talked about for weeks, is the blackout. Pac Davis Wade. We won last week. Okay, get excited. And I'm kind of nervous that, like, with so many football games, with 2 football games between now and Tennessee, that we're not going to be able to, like, generate the same hype.
I disagree.
Because you have to be careful, because you can't start talking about Tennessee before those games are over, because then if a Toledo happens or a Notre Dame NIU, because teams can be fantastic, right? National champion runner-ups and still lose fluke games. So you have to be careful about, like, promoting games before you get there.
So just use the week before to get high. I think
Right,
it'll be
but
there.
that's what I'm saying is, like, we've had weeks to prepare for this because it's the home opener,
Sure.
as opposed to if we have to wait until after whoever that game before is, either NIU or I don't remember other
Alcorn State.
Alcorn State. It's one of those two. I don't remember which is the one before.
NIU 's the
Alcorn
one
State's first.
Yeah,
Okay.
Then IU.
So we have to, like, I'm kind of concerned. Not concerned. I'm just curious to see, like,
We can.
can we pack out Davis Wade again? Can we have it fuller?
Let's table that conversation. Come
Okay.
back to it.
I will say, one Tucker Medlin will be here, and
True.
that'll generate
This
some
is
hype
true.
for sure.
That was wonderful. I appreciate that. And I think that's such a unique perspective,
That's true
For
boots on the ground right there.
having to be working it and to not be able to celebrate and still have to be in that moment and get the shot. And I hope we get to see that shot, whether it's posted or you just steal it, or borrow it or whatever.
I'll text my bosses for sure if they don't post it.
I'll say the conversation we had on the show Thursday, I brought it up. I felt that this was one of those games that it could redefine our program. I tried to think of all the games that I had been to as a student, and since the COVID season, was there a game that would have meant more to this program than this one? And there were 3 examples. There was a game against Georgia, Alabama, and a game against LSU. And I think the LSU one is one that you basically kind of referenced with Zach Arnett, that was week 3. We played LSU. We're 2-0. And that we have SEC Nation, Tim Tebow's in town, all of that. Noon kickoff. Zach Arnett goes on SEC Nation as they're doing the Bulldog Walk, walks into the stadium, says, we're going to be ready, we're going to be ready. We get boat raced by Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. I felt that this was one of those games that could easily go that way with Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt, but the level of impact was there. Walking through the tailgates, walking through the junction, it was awesome to see football fans again, see state fans again. Man, that color of yellow is a lot less appealing in person. The Arizona State yellow, I did not like their yellow at all. I guess that was like the color to wear because all of their opposing fans were wearing yellow in the game. It does not look good. I wish they had just worn maroon
It's
like
smart,
us.
though. I mean, if you're, like, going into a blackout, you want the little pop of color.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's a bad yellow.
I do like their maroon though. But
Fair.
all that being said, you get into the stadium. I did what I normally do, and I walked into the stadium an hour prior to kick, and I do that to get to my spot and to get to my section. And every single time throughout all 4 of my years, I've done that, got to my spot, walked up the stairs to get to it, and the bleachers are wide open. I can just walk and get to my spot. I walk in an hour before kick. I walk up the bleachers. I'm looking at where my spot is, and the student section is packed all the way to the top already, an hour before kick. And at that moment, I was like, holy crud, the kind of hype that we have built somehow out of nowhere. The fact that the students are here in this kind of number, that I think that just built on the anticipation and the impact of what the game could be, because the students, quite frankly, are the pulse of this campus. They're the pulse of these, our athletics. They are the pulse. The left field lounge, and with the right field student section, basketball. We are the pulse of basketball, 100%. And in football, it's the same thing as well. That student section, you coming down to that north side of the stadium, it is loud as crap there, and it's designed to be that way. And the student section filled out entirely. It was standing room only. It was the most packed student section I've ever seen. And right away, we were able to stay in the game, which was the biggest thing, because our student section is known to be irate. It's known to leave early. It's known to just lose hope. And, as that game is going on, you strike first. The pop of that crowd was insane. We kind of have, some spurts throughout the first quarter, get up to 17-0. Terrible call on a roughing the passer, which is not roughing I didn't feel like it was roughing the passer to me. BS call, they get 3 points. But I'll say that 2 more things for the experience, and then we can get an actual football game, because I feel like I'm getting more into football than I am experience. We're sitting there, 2-minute warning. Arizona State has the ball, 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. And we play Don't Stop Believin'. And we are tied 17-all, and Arizona State has scored 17 straight. And they're looking down the barrel of scoring 24 straight. They have ran for 238 yards in the second half. They ran for 13 in the first, and they just need 4 yards in 4 plays. And Don't Stop Believin' comes on. And the lights go off, and the flashlights come on, and the strobes are doing their thing. And everybody is standing, and everybody is ringing their bell, and everybody is singing. The guy, the frat guy in front of me, who has been yelling the F word for literally 2.5 hours ever since Arizona State is making their comeback, is hugging his girl, and they're swinging, and they're singing Don't Stop Believin'. And the fans in the crowd next to me, I'm sitting in the far left end of the student section. I can just see, like, normal fans, too. They're in belief, and kids are singing, and we're staring down the barrel of a gun of one of the worst heartbreaks State fans have ever felt, choking a 17-0 lead at home against a top 12 team, and there's still belief in the building. And in that moment, I knew, man, everything has changed. Considering everything that this program, this university has been through for 3 years since the passing of Leach, it all is like culminated on this moment. And all I was hoping for was like, man, just give us one chance. Just give us one chance. And props to our defense. They gave us a damn chance. And, you in typical Mississippi State fashion, we drop a wide open catch, wide open first down. Anthony Evans, who had an incredible game the entire game, drops a wide open catch. The stadium lets out the loudest sigh you ever heard. Cowbells are banging the bleachers in anger. The loudest F-bomb I'd heard from the frat dude in front of me that night is yelled. And then the play happens. And it is one of the most magical moments I've ever been a part of. It is one of the loudest moments I've ever been a part of. And I'll tell you, like, we were 75% full. We're not even at full capacity whatsoever. And it was insane. And then still, there's just that creeping doubt of, they got 30 seconds. They got 2 timeouts.
I was looking for the flag.
They got a chance.
My doubt
I was
like, where's the flag? There's got to be a flag.
There was no flag. The play was ran so well that I saw a different play than what was actually ran. And when I watched it again this morning, I was like, oh, shoot, that is not what we ran at all. But it was magical. Beautiful ball from Chapin. Like, the fact that he had that much time in the pocket was insane.
Shout out their nickel for tripping.
Yep.
And
That was crazy.
yeah, that was huge. They get their chance. Sam has the ball, one play. I still don't know if it slipped or if it was batted. I think it was slipped, personally. Pick. And to pick that off, like that is, for me, it was like, okay, that's how we're supposed to finish these games. That's how Mississippi State football has been. That's how we finished games. It's just like an iconic pick or an iconic sack or something after
Jeffrey
our
Simmons,
offense has made
Montez
a big play.
Sweat, Chris Jones gets to the quarterback.
Even back to when my dad was in college in the 90s, like two Egg Bowls ended on interceptions by State. That is what it's always been about. And then, like, again, the frat dude in front of me is hugging his girlfriend, and there's a frat dude behind me who is literally in his girlfriend's chest, tears pouring down his face. Like, insane. You would think like it was his firstborn child. He was seeing his firstborn child for the first time. It was one of those kinds of moments, and that just like encapsulates exactly what like every fan in there was feeling. And it's still, I don't think it's quite processed. I agree 100%. Sanders, like the shock after it's not something that you know how to deal with. I was there with Duncan and Whitehead, and we sat there after the game together in the living room, and we were just also still kind of in shock, kind of trying to process everything. It was insane, and I think for me it was my third best State moment ever. It doesn't quite go over the two Egg Bowls that I've seen, because the Egg Bowl just holds a little bit more. But that was one of the most magical nights. That's the best game I've ever been to as a student here in Starkville, at least. And that was magical.
I'm glad y'all enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous that it doesn't hit the same for me, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's just not my team, so I can't force it. I really hope I get one of those moments one day. I won't ever get it as a
I think
student.
for it to hit, you have to go 2-10 first. So I hope it never happens to you.
Your coach has to pass away at an untimely time. You have the emotion of winning that Pirate game. You come into the next season with a ton of hope. Zach Arnett tells your quarterback that we're going to run the air raid. We don't run the air raid. You have to deal with Kevin Barbe play calling for a year. You have to deal with Mike Wright. Then Jeff Levy comes in. The hype is there, but we don't have the roster whatsoever. You lose to Toledo at home.
We've done a lot of similar things in the year, minus the whole coach passing away.
Yeah.
We've had App State losses at home.
That is true.
There's something called battered Aggie syndrome for a reason. We've had our fair share of crappy play callers. Jimbo Fisher with 15 play sheets.
I think the
whatever
best.
hit to say I'm not a student, but like, just go beat Notre Dame next week, please.
Yeah. Do we want to go ahead and get into actual football?
Yeah,
I think
well,
the
we
best
can
way
do
the
actual
X's and
football.
O's.
the best way I want to start just by running through our points last week real quick and seeing did we hit or miss. Does that make sense? Because there were a
Sure.
lot that we hit on that
I've
I think won us the game.
Basically
He
got
did it.
that like color coded
Go
if you
down.
want to scroll down.
Down. Okay, cool. Perfect.
And the stats that go with those two.
So are is this
So I can tell you, like,
you got it.
all right. So keys for State to win the game. These are the ones that were up top. The first one for us was limit the explosive plays. Last week, Arizona State had 9 plays of 19 yards or more. This week, only 2 explosive plays for Arizona State. Incredible job.
4, because 2 rushing explosive. I don't know if you count those, but 2 rushing of 19 or more.
Yeah.
So there were 4.
Okay. I got 4 explosive plays. The next key for State in the game was keep the crowd in the game. We definitely kept the crowd in the game. The crowd affected the entire first half. Kenny got to learn where the cowbell was. Sam Levitt got to learn how a high school game felt. They were rattled, multiple false starts. I thought the best play Arizona State probably made all night was the punt inside their own end zone, where his punter is literally, his feet are on the back line, and he punts it 60 yards in the air right in front of the student section. after a false start. I thought that was one of the best plays they had made the entire night. But the crowd was 100% in the game. The next one was like, cannot let Sam Levitt out physical us. Sam Levitt, 8 carries for 25 yards. And again, he took big shots from us all night, about 7 or 8 of them again. That's kind of not something you want to see if you're an Arizona State fan going forward.
He did not almost beat us, but like he did make some huge plays. I feel like the 8 for 25 like doesn't necessarily
There's sack yardage
convey
in there.
the impact. Like there was a third or a fourth and a couple yards where he almost gets sacked and he breaks the sack, rolls out to his left, dives, gets the first down. So that was one of we did a great job of limiting him more than he could have, of keeping him somewhat limited, but there were some big plays from him there that I feel like aren't conveyed in the 25-yard number.
The last one was penalties. We were 14 for 119 yards last week. We cut that in half, almost literally 6 for 60 yards this week. A lot better timely penalties. Only one penalty that was like really bad, which we were in a 3rd and 1, and we ended up getting a false start, and it pushes us back to a 3rd and 6, and we end up throwing an incomplete pass, and then Levy questionably goes for it on 4th and 6. We don't convert. They go down, score a touchdown, and tie the game. But outside of that, the penalties weren't necessarily impactful. Of course, not having penalties on the biggest plays of the game were huge. All of the explosive touchdowns, there were no penalties, no holding or anything. That's really important. We had, what was it, 2 touchdowns called back against Southern Miss?
The Kamaru one, and I think Fluff one as well. I think there were 2.
And for Arizona State, their keys to the game were stop the run. They did a great job at that. They stopped us for 66 yards the entire night. Really kind of kept us under check. Jordan Tyson Cook, I kind of gave that a middle of the pack rating, a C plus, B minus. Tyson was 6 for 68, but he had just 3 yards in the first half. And in the second half, they used him well, but they only passed the ball 7 times in the second half because of how effective they were in the ground game. But they were running, that was an NFL pro offense in the second half. Running the ball to set up the pass. And every time they needed to throw the ball, they found the right moment to do it, and they would hit Jordan Tyson. So I still thought his impact on the game was massive. He made, of course, a touchdown catch and then a huge, 3rd down catch late in the game on their long 10-minute drive. Protect Sam Levitt was another one of the keys. They did not really do that. He was hit about 7-ish times. Really big again. Penalties were bad for them last week. They had 12. This week they had 8 for 49, and the penalties in the first half especially really slowed momentum. The Cowbells were getting to them. And then the talk. They talked a ton of shit, and I'm going to use that word because it literally was that. They crapped on this state. They made fun of this state. They didn't even do any research. They just drew conclusions. Honestly, I thought it was one of the most disrespectful weeks of an opposing team talking about another university I've really ever seen. Because it's not like it was like, we were poking at them for like bad moments in their history. Like if you did like Penn State, you talk about the head coach who was a pedophile. Like, no, they were literally just like playing us as a fool. They essentially thinking, we were dumb, that we were casinos everywhere. And I promise you, if there were casinos everywhere, I would know, and I would love for a casino to be all over Starkville personally. But there are not. Their closest one is 40 minutes away, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So they did not back up the talk. I got to say that they were extremely impressive in the second half. The way I felt in the second half was it was admiration, because that is how teams win football games. That's how good teams go and win on the road. You get down 17-0 on the road. You get a lucky break at the end of the second half. You make a field goal. You're down 2 scores. You come out and you respond, and you control the football, and you keep the other offense off the field, and you make big plays when you need to. And I promise you, if we had not converted on the big play to Brennan Thompson to win the game, this is what I would tell you is Arizona State showed us how to win football games. with the way they played that second half. And that would be the biggest takeaway, was that this is something that we need to get to, is playing like that in the second half and responding. So I give them a ton of credit there. But, as Kenny said, one play changes the entire narrative, as he said in his post-game press conference, and they did not back up the talk because of that. So now they get to drive. They got to drive back to Tupelo last night. That is where they were staying, according to a source I hold close. And then they, of course, I would assume they flew home last night as well. But they did not back up the talk. Y'all have any thoughts, football-wise, X's and O's? I got a ton of more thoughts, too.
Let's start,
I can
and
take you
Jack,
through
you can
big
participate
moments.
in this because I know you have thoughts. And then we're going to talk about Sam Levitt more later in the show. He will make another appearance in a different segment. But Tucker pointed out non-Jordan Tyson pass catchers had 14 yards. Levitt completed passes to 3 different wide receivers. He had 6 to Jordan Tyson, 3 to R. Brown. I don't have first names pulled up.
Relief
Brown.
He's a running
thank
back,
you.
is he
yes,
not?
he is.
Yes.
And then 1 to Harpole. So
Tight end.
tight end.
Yeah.
3
They-
different wide receivers when you
3
are
different pass catchers.
3 different pass catchers.
One,
Thank you.
That means Jordan Tyson was the only wide receiver to catch a pass.
Yeah, it was actually a disimprovement, or they got worse from last
Regression.
week. A regression. They completed just 2 passes to actual receivers. They completed a bunch of passes to backs and tight ends. That's something that's a concern for them going forward, because even again in the fan base, they were talking about number 12, who I don't know the name off the top of his head, but he didn't catch a ball, so he clearly didn't impact the game. They were telling us that we were not going to be able to cover that guy at all, and they attacked with him early. And brother, you got to catch the ball. Sam Levitt makes 2 bad throws, and he drops 2 big plays early in the first quarter. But that is a huge concern going forward for Arizona State, is just being so Jordan Tyson and running back reliant. They got to find some other weapons there.
Agreed.
I want to real quick talk about our since we're talking about the Arizona State offense, I'm going to talk about our defense and then talk about our offense because I have a lot of thoughts about our offense. Our defense looked so good for the first half and good for parts of the second half. They were incredible for the first half. Our secondary, and I think a lot of the fact that they only had 3 different targets with completions was in large part due to our secondary. And the game plan and the way we were able to shut down Jordan Tyson, only 6 receptions for 66 yards is not that, if you had told me that, or 68 yards, if you had told me that going into the game, I would 100% have signed up for that. Because the reality is that's kind of the floor for an elite wide receiver. The expectation would be 8 receptions, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's the kind of stuff the stats you're posting against last year's secondary. This year's secondary, much improved. Kelly Jones was fantastic and able to lock him down. But the defensive line as well, there were a couple plays where we got to Levitt and he escapes, but there was a lot of pressure. The linebackers were putting massive hits on Levitt, the bone-crunching kind that when you were a fan of the defense, you grin because you're like, that was a good hit. When you're the offense, is he going to get up? Is he okay? Levitt got up every time, but they were those kind of hits that made you they rattled you from even not on the field.
Sure.
That was our defense was awesome, and then our offense, the passing game was fantastic. But I don't want to I do want to shout out the running backs because Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth didn't have fantastic games. They both had 30 to 40 rushing yards. One averaged 3.7, the other 4.3 yards per carry. So not fantastic, but they consistently would find ways on first down, get 6 or 8 yards, right? I think we only had 1 10-plus yard rush to Arizona State's 4 or 6. They had a lot. But there were several plays where Bothwell or Booth would get 6 or 8 yards on first down. And it was just that kind of consistent, opportunistic, taking advantage of that, getting those yardage. And I think that's one of the reasons Shapen had over 300 passing yards is Arizona State came in, tried to shut down the run, held us to around 4 yards per carry, kept our lead running backs at 30 yards, but it opened up that passing game for guys like Anthony Evans and Brennan Thompson.
Sure.
And it just created so much in the passing game. So the run game and the offensive line, was also fantastic. I believe our right tackle earned PFF Offensive Lineman of the Week honors, Albert Reese. So that was a huge improvement. 0 penalties from him this week. 0 sacks allowed, I believe. He posted a fantastic stat line this last week. So the offense was very impressive. They were Showtime. I mean, you talked going into Southern Miss game, you said you wanted to see Showtime from us. And I don't know that we really put it up in the way you would want against a G5 opponent, but I do think that this week we did it against a Big 12 champion from last year who returned so many starters. I think we really put on a show.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 touchdowns were 40-plus yard passes. And if that's not Showtime, I don't really know what is. Shout out also Arizona State secondary for some cracks and miscommunications, but
Yeah.
State abused those really well, and I do think you're all right. Part of it is because they really were looking to stop the run. And State's backs definitely ran hard. But
At our defense also on that last drive, Arizona State is down, or we're tied, right? 17 all. Arizona State, like you talked about earlier, was trying to go up and make it 24 unanswered points. And our defense put up one of the biggest stands I remember seeing, probably since like the 2010s with D-lines that had like Chris Jones, maybe like a 2019 Jeffrey Simmons. But like the stand they made on that goal line, and shout out Diego Brumfield for that huge tackle, because their running back, and that was Raleek Brown, breaks through 26 yards. I mean, he looks like he's just going to walk in the end zone. Brumfield chases him down from behind, tackles him at the 3-yard line. And so now, like you said, Arizona State, 4 plays to get in the end zone, and we hold them to 2 yards after they had already punched it in once, maybe twice, I think twice on the goal line. They'd had the rollout to the left, and then I think they'd run it in as well.
Yes.
So they'd already scored twice on the goal line, and we held them. We stopped them 3 times. They take the field goal. We go down and score. The defense did what we needed, like, at the most important time of the game. It was like, that was like the kind of defense that like makes you puff out your chest, and you're like, that was an SEC defense. The way they were able to get that stop, because it's hard to stop a 215-pound guy running out your full speed who only needs to go 3 feet.
That was the kind of defense the Leach team had in its last year, where they would make those kind of stops at the goal line. They made a couple in the A&M game, and then of course they won the Egg Bowl by stopping a 2-point conversion. Shout out to Diago. He played well. He got beat by Jordan Tyson a few times, but who doesn't get beat by Jordan Tyson? And then
Kelly Jones.
Even Kelly got beat,
Yeah,
I think, once that game, but he was kind of in a softer zone coverage. The whole timeout situation was crazy, especially there in that low goal line stand. But I'll more talk to now. I want to talk like bad moments.
Yeah.
Personally, for us, end of the half was very poorly managed. BS call or not, you cannot let them score any kind of points when you have the ball with literally 1 minute left and it's first down. And we did not make them use. We made them use their timeouts, but like we did not burn enough clock. We got to convert some kind of first down.
I don't think we made them use one. We didn't make them use. I think we had an incompletion. Like we only
made
them
them
use
at least one or two.
Not all 3.
And then in the second half, they're right now, I think, a problem that I hope does not continue to occur, but it surprised me, is that Levy was playing aggressive, but he was not playing to score points. He was playing to score touchdowns, which I understand in the long run. That's the way you want to play. But when you have a guy in Kyle Ferry who made a 55-yarder with ease last week against Southern Miss, when you get to the your own 40-yard line, you need to try and play to get to the 38, not to try and get into the red zone. And there were at least 2 series there in the second half where we're driving down the south side, and 3rd and 1 late in the third quarter, false start, 3rd and 6, no conversion. We go for it on 4th and 6. We don't convert. All the momentum goes to the Sun Devils. Another one where we're at 4th and 1 from about the 42 in the first quarter, where they blow up our play to Fluff Bothwell, where we're trying to leak him out into the flat. Don't convert there because Shapen doesn't get to the line in time. And then because we went for it in 4th and 6 late in the third, we get into the spot in the fourth quarter where we're sitting there at 3rd and 9, and it feels like it's two downs to work with. We play it like it's 2 downs. We gain 3 yards. It's 4th and we don't gain 3 yards. We throw an incompletion. It's 4th and 9 again, and it almost feels like you're almost forced to go for it. But then we decide to punt, and unfortunately, deciding to punt was going to be the last time we touched the ball until we score the game-winning touchdown, because Arizona State gets the ball with 10:40 left, and State would not see the ball until under 2 minutes left. They drive 95 yards down the field running the ball the entire time. But that goal line stand, like you said, that is something that makes you pump out your chest. That's not something our defense did at all last season. We were one of the worst defenses in the entire country in terms of red zone scoring percentage.
Sure.
So it was a sight to see. And then to wrap it off, the big touchdown, Anthony Evans, who had been excellent the entire night, drops a huge pass in Mississippi State fashion, 3rd and 9. ASU, they simulate pressure, meaning they bring up 6 to the line, but they drop the 2 linebackers. They try to bring in a really weird nickel corner blitz from literally like 15 yards away. He ends up tripping on Seydou Traore's foot and falls down, and so Chapin has all the time in the world, and we just run a little post wheel concept. Thompson turns the post into a double move. The corner, for whatever reason, we've already made this. What confused me, and this is X's and O's, you're in man-to-man, and on a post wheel, you switch. The receivers essentially switch immediately, and so you've already switched men. It's one of the most like textbook concepts in all of football. It's so well known. There's no reason for there to be a moment for them to switch back. So I don't understand where the communication goes to switch back between the 2 corners. And for whatever reason, their corner thinks we're supposed to switch back. And Brennan Thompson, the fastest guy in college football, according to the announcer, is out in the open, scores a touchdown. Terrible miscommunication for them, but also such a weird play call. You're up 3. I personally would have dropped back. I would have played a soft zone.
It's even if you're one of the people that's like, I don't like playing prevent because that's just easy way to get them 10 yards. Doing something as like fancy or cutesy as a nickel blitz or a corner blitz, like that's too much. If you just want to like send a linebacker on a blitz or something, like that's one thing, but to like get that cute with it is where I'm like, all right, that's a little much.
I think given the fact that we had not been moving the ball offensively for literally since we had not scored since there were 12 minutes left in the second quarter. So just make us work for it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that
Or
on
even
the Arizona State side.
If you're Arizona State, like if you're Arizona State and you could go into overtime
I'd love
playing the
overtime
way
if
you
that-
were
yeah.
playing, right? I mean, they had dominated for much of the second half.
You just run the ball.
Sure.
Yeah, just I would say if I play prevent, give up the field goal, and then we probably can't score a touchdown. We haven't looked like we can for the entire second half. I agree. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. We wrap that up. Put some,
I got 2 more things.
Yeah, bow it up.
Knock them off. Knock them out.
One of the big things is like Arizona State won the time of possession 38-22. And for us to still be able to score on explosive plays, I thought that was insane. To lose the time of possession by 16 minutes, the defense to be out there playing defense for 38 minutes and still hold a top 12 team with a NFL quarterback and an NFL receiver in Jordan Tyson to 20 points. Hats off to them. Hats off to Coleman Hutzler. The hug between him and Levy was really cool in the post game. And the other one, this is just a tidbit. Chapin's running too much. Throw a check down. You have Bothwell.
Throw it
and
away,
Booth.
right?
Throw it
2
away.
yards. 2 yards is not worth you risking another injury.
You've got backs who can catch out of
Depends
the
on the
backfield
situation.
and
Right,
make
right.
guys miss.
1st and 10 in the second quarter.
Yes.
I'll
Just
take 2nd and 10.
drop the ball off. He's running too much. He's putting himself in dangerous situations. He talks about himself oh, I just need to stay healthy. I wish I could stay healthy.
I
Health,
wonder
health,
why
health.
you can't.
And yet he is still out here running. I don't.
Yeah.
I understand it. Like the moment of the game, I would try to go out there and make big plays too, and I don't mind him doing it in a big game like that. But like going forward, I would imagine he's still going to do it against Alcorn State and Northern Illinois, and I just don't want to see that going forward.